Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. I am your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm privileged to welcome a very accomplished tech entrepreneur from Israel, a fellow IPO member, Dr. Nir Ben-Lavi. Nir, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ashutosh, for having me, and hello, everybody.
Thank you. Nir is the CEO and co-founder of the Pangea Cup, and we'll talk about the Pangea Cup today. He is the founder of AgroNation Investment House. Nir has also ran the Turkey-Israel Innovation Program. He's an author of 3 books, and as I mentioned in my opening, he's a fellow IPO member. So Nir, what an amazing set of things that you do. But today, let's talk first about the Pangea Cup. Tell me about this venture.
Oh, okay, with pleasure. So Pangea Cup is a global competition and a reality show designed to discover the next big video game.
Okay.
We created a prize package for the winners that will include cash, marketing, distribution support for the game, and a wild card for the global season 1 of Pangea Cup. If you want, you can look at it as a Shark Tank. Meeting the Grammy or The Voice, and it's a reality show where game developers from all over the world would compete to become the next Fortnite or League of Legends. In terms of timeline, we will launch next month with an open call for developers. Contestants will bid their games and will be selected to enter the competition based on merits like the storytelling, the team quality, the game design, and so forth. And during the first season of Pangea Cup, the teams will share their creative development process through a competition. We will bring to them best-in-class mentors from industry publishers, media, game investment ventures, and we will follow them to capture their journey. We'll create a short film. It will be released afterwards, and they will be exposed, the contestant, in major social media platforms.
Amazing. So before I ask you any more questions, what does Pangea mean and what is the background of the name?
So Pangea, or in some would say Pangea, is the name of the first supercontinent on planet Earth before it broke to the continents we know today. America to one side and Australia. There was only one landmass, and we use the term Pangea because this name encapsulates a vision, which is to help the world to become one again through passion and play.
What a wonderful name. Thank you. I was wondering where the name came from. Very innovative. So, just before we started recording, you were saying that there are some 3 billion gamers in the world. And I don't know how large the industry is. But what was your motivation to start a global challenge or a global competition for developers?
So before jumping to the answers, yes. So we are peaking, the industry is peaking, about to reach 3 billion game developers. This is the biggest religion, if you want, or the widest common denominator. And its annual revenue is about to reach $200 billion a year. It is, if you combine entertainment, filming, sports industry, and double them, it will not reach what the revenue that the industry is making to date. So motivation. So, basically, I guess that we are all led by our personal stories. So you probably know that in Israel, everyone has to do army, boys and girls. I did it too. And without going into too many details, I was wounded during my service. So I know firsthand. I don't need mediators. I learned everything about crutches and wheelchair and rehabilitation, which lucky enough I managed to have and pretty much recover. So during the time, during recovery after lying in bed or in hospital, I learned firsthand what it means for someone who became disabled, what it means to be away from the industry, to be isolated, not be able to socialize. So I guess that this planted the seed in me, for me, which grew years later. So if you fast forward like 30 years later, and for me, having seen what you can do with technologies and how technologies can connect people, help them socialize, etc., etc., it became a strong motivator for me to create something that will serve needs not only for people with disabilities but for everyone. Because with if you are today, if you're online, you can study, you can find a spouse, you can socialize, you can get your groceries, you can work, etc., etc. So this is the first motivator. The second motivator is I'm not sure if you're familiar with Amar Sharani from YPO North Star. So Amar created an amazing initiative that is called the Change Makers Club that I was lucky enough to join. So at the Change Makers Club, there is a bunch of 30 of us from YPO. All of us were committed to share our knowledge in our area of expertise, like twice a year, doing it 100% pro bono, and going to remote YPO chapters and share our knowledge. My knowledge is how to create corporate and nation level innovation. So as part of the Change Makers Club, I managed to go to Mongolia, to Kazakhstan, to Ukraine, to Russia, to Nigeria, to YPO Slovak, and many others. And I made a habit to come a day or two before the masterclass I gave to the chapter, to the local chapter, and stay 1 or 2 days later. And I was lucky enough everywhere I went to meet so many entrepreneurs, many of them are game developers, and all of them suffered from the same problem. They had great games, but they had limited resources. They were far away from the big players and where the action is, like the West Coast in the US.
Correct.
And you see over time that the great games are being lost. So simmering their needs on their needs, and with my personal history, I believe that both had a great impact on creating my internal motivation to put together what later became the Pangea Cup. I have to say that I didn't do it alone, and not only that we have a great team, but my co-founder and president is David Falk, who is most known for being the agent of Michael Jordan, Patrick Ewing, and many other elite athletes. Is considered as one of the strongest people in the in American sports.
Amazing. So, Nir, as you build the equivalent of maybe the Oscars or the Emmys with Pangea Cup, what are some of the challenges the gaming industry or the gaming business is facing worldwide?
This is a great question, and I won't use the word challenge, so to speak, since build anything that scale from scratch is going to be a challenge.
Correct.
But beyond that, more than a challenge, I would relate to what we were facing in the last 3 years or so as a series of opportunities. To start with, the Pangea Cup is a new brand. And a concept that is entering what may be perceived as a close-knit and distrustful to an extent community of game developers and game players. So with that in mind, we have to earn our stripes. We need to listen to the community as we did in the last 3 years. We need to prove that we care, that we create a true opportunity for people who might not otherwise have a chance. And on top of that, it is our mission to support and to be good stewards, if you want, to the indie game developers community. And we have to prove it. And that's why we're starting with the first season, which is just around the corner. One more thing that is worth mentioning is the introductory season, that the first season will focus on US video game developers. Will show the community that they could use the real life storytelling with the game development, and when you will put it in a competitive format, it will bring out the best of everyone involved. It will highlight the way games are brought to life, and we believe that ultimately it will uncover the foundation for what might become the next big video game. Yeah.
Amazing. So my, a question that I've often wondered in the gaming business is, people who are actually, the people who are playing the games, how loyal are they to the games? I mean, people keep moving from one game to the other. How does the gaming business keep the gamers coming back over and over again?
So first, before going to the gamers, I would say a number to remember is that while the industry has grown immensely, especially since COVID, it is huge and it keeps growing. You should know that roughly 95% of the games that are launched to the market almost on a daily basis fail because they either don't get finished or are not profitable, and we want to change. Our aim is to change that success metric. But if you look at the loyalty of gamers, so just to enlighten you, so you have pervasive games like Destiny 2. Your kids might play it, which has some level of loyalty. But the gaming audience, as I mentioned earlier, is almost 3 billion, 3 billion in size. It is strong and it is growing, and we believe there's plenty of room for new games and for new genres. But I'll give you an example. So millions of gamers play a game that is called World of Warcraft. But in parallel, Amazon introduced a game, it's called MMO. There's quite a few acronyms. So MMO stands for Massively Multiplayer Online Game that is called New World. It became an instant hit. In parallel to World of Warcraft, a new game, another game was released that is called Lost Ark. It is also massively played online. It uses role playing, and it broke the record. It became the second most played game ever on Steam, and it was only second to another game that is called Counter-Strike. So this is one example. You have in the same domain, World of Warcraft, New World, Lost Ark, and quite a few others. And all of them have got enough gravitas and enough followers. So there is a massive audience for new games, but there is also a room for new genres. So to your question, loyalty is great for franchises, for IPs. You have dedicated communities like the Fortnite community, which is close to 400 million gamers on Fortnite, but there's also a large segment of gamers who are looking for new games. So our mission at Pangea Cup is to build loyalty to us, so it becomes synonymous with new and great indie and AA games.
Amazing. So the other thing new that is happening in this whole world is the Metaverse. And people are just now jumping into the Metaverse to now play games. What is your perspective on what is the Metaverse doing to the world?
Oh, I was hoping that you would ask this question, and I will start that we are guilty as charged.
Okay.
Because at Pangea Cup, we adopted the notion of the Metaverse pretty early in our development.
Okay.
There is a famous ice hockey player named Wayne Gretzky, and his most famous saying is, "Don't go to where the puck is, go to where the puck is going to be." So when we started carving and putting together the concept of Pangea Cup some 3 years ago, it was clear to us that we need to have presence not only in the physical world, but also in the digital world.
Amazing.
So through one of our, I think, biggest achievements is that we created a partnership with Epic Games. And Epic are created Fortnite. And we will have inside Fortnite, the game, we will have a Pangea Island. And in the Pangea Island, with the hundreds of millions of gamers on Fortnite, gamers will be able to meet the contestants in the Pangea Cup, download videos, play games, etc., etc. And so we're going to have a presence not only in the physical, but also in the virtual world. But to a question, there is a lot of investment, a lot of buzz around Metaverse and Web3 and decentralized economies. So I can say that I believe that we are in such an early stage of this transition. So many things can play out before general audience can truly utilize these next stage interactive experiences. So my belief is that the development of technologies that allow the digital world become seamless extension of the physical world will happen. So that's technology. And second, if you look at the audience like Gen Zs and millennials, and even stronger with those who are still kids now, I believe that they will become metaverse citizens, because you and I are immigrants to the virtual world. We grew in a physical world, but your kids and mine, your youngest kids, my kids, they know how to swipe the screen, and from them, it's part of the reality, although it's digital. So the development of metaverse is, in some form, is inevitable. If you look at history, you can see that there's always been problems with the new big things, and maybe certain amount of fear from people who are exposed to it. They don't know what is going to happen, etc. But I think it's inevitable. I think there's a lot of good in it. If you look at the video game development over time, it becomes more egalitarian and more equal. Today, if you want to develop a new video game, you need $5,000 to $15,000, and that's it. You have a video game that you can launch with all the tools that you have, etc., etc. So I believe that when we are teaming up with the best-in-class metaverse generations such as Epic Games, we will be in a position where we're able to contribute. So so metaverse is inevitable.
Fantastic. So I've got one more question relating to gaming and the Pangea Cup before I move to your books. The question for you is that is the development of gaming happening in some countries, or is it happening across the whole world in all countries or most countries?
Okay, so I said earlier, Changemakers Club brought me to quite a few countries, and I witnessed firsthand how much innovation there is in lesser known areas of the world. So at Pangea, not because of the name, they said that nobility obligates, noblesse oblige, but we are well aware that much of the best talent in game development industry and a lot of creativity has been pretty missed until now, and it is our mission to change it. Okay. So not only that we are going to create a bridge between far from the power centers of the world areas like Africa, like Central Asia, like areas that wouldn't be the first choice of those who are looking for the best for the next video games, but we're going to bring them and connect them to the biggest publishers and the biggest distributors, etc. But on top of that, part of our expansion model of the Pangea Cup imagine the World Cup in soccer for Americans, football for you and me. So we look at the Pangea Cup as the finals that will be fed by regional qualifiers that will based on franchising model, and not only will serve as a new game development hubs, but they will feed the finals, the global finals of the Pangea Cup, with talents that come from the various regions of the world as a whole. So, as I said, help the world to become one again.
Absolutely. It's very encouraging, because what I'm hearing you say is that you will also be supporting a lot of game developers to take their product and their game to a much larger audience. Is that right?
Yeah, that is right. Because in more than one sense, the world has truly become a small village. Because if I sit in India, or I sit in China, or I sit in Africa, or I am somewhere in Europe, as long as I have a decent connectivity, I can upload my game to one of the platforms that exposes games to the world, and that's it. People can play it, people can download it, people can buy skins or certain weapons that are relevant to my game. So only it not only that it gives voice to creativity, but it actually creates a unified platform where those who have talent, regardless to the geography, can make it to a certain extent, make it big, make a living, and be part of the community.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you, Neer. I've got time for one more set of questions for you. So I'm now going to move from Neer the entrepreneur to Neer the author.
Okay.
Tell me about your books.
So I just finished the manuscript of my third book. So my third book. My first book was on how to run innovation, namely innovation meetings. I wrote it with Shom Adizes, the son of the famous professor Ichak Adizes. The second book is based on my PhD research, in which I validated the first worldwide, at the time at least, software for dispute resolution. I have a funny story which I'll share with you in a moment.
Yeah.
And the third book is about how to create corporate innovation, which I wrote with my buddy from YPO Israel, Yoram Yav, and with another friend, David Miron Wapner.
Wow.
About my second book. So my second book is based on my PhD. In my PhD, I created a software solution for dispute resolution. Took me 9 years. After 3 years, I realized that all my research assumptions were faulty. I had to start from scratch. So I validated the algorithm. I created the software, and I donated it to the United Nations. Wow. So they started using my software, but after a bit over 3 years, I was called to an urgent meeting in Brindisi, in Italy, which is it's an airbase that used to sending air shipments to be dropped on Kosovo. And when the war ended, they turned it to one of the UN's biggest training bases. So they call me to a meeting, big table, and they tell me, Neer, we find a bug in your software. So I said, guys, you've been using it over 3 years. Now you find a bug. What's the problem? And say, we found out that the software for dispute resolution is effective only when the disputing parties are interested in resolving the dispute. There you go.
Okay. Very well said. Neer, on that note, thank you so much for speaking to me. Thank you for talking to me about the Pangea Cup. Thank you for telling me Pangea was the world when before it went split into so many different continents. And I'm sure with your Pangea Cup, you're going to bring the whole world together. Thank you for talking to me about the metaverse. I mean, I'm learning at my age, I'm learning lots of new things about the metaverse. And thank you for talking to me about your books. So good luck again for Pangea. I'm sure me and all my viewers and listeners will be tracking Pangea Cup, looking for the Pangea Cup, and I wish you lots of success.
Thank you so much, Ashutosh, for having me. And I just wanted to tell you that your initiative is amazing in bringing hearts and minds together and is spreading the wealth of knowledge. And it was great spending time with you.
Thank you, Juan. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.